Shut up and sit down.
Welcome into another Red Out podcast. I am Jake.
Hey guys, Devin the Cape Crusader back in with you.
Do you have a cape somewhere that I should know about?
Yeah, it's in the closet. Sorry.
Oh, okay, cool. He's not wearing it, so I was making sure. Like, did I come undressed? I do have my shirt on inside out.
Last week I called myself the Cape Crusader, and you were the boy wonder who was missing. So
I don't know how to feel about that, to be honest with you. There's a lot of jokes with Batman and Robin, so I think I'm just going to stay away from those for now.
That's all good.
But yeah, no, I did help my wife being ill. She's much better now. So
that's good.
That's
good. Always better.
But yeah, back at it again. Last time we named it What Happened. I think this time is like, who the hell knows? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, guys. I'm out of answers. I don't know. You almost you get your butt kicked by Maine. You almost beat Louisville as a 23-point underdog. I don't know.
I mean, it's just the uptick of Western. It's kind of funny because you're sitting there and you're like, we lose to Maine 31-0, and I go into that show. Well, nothing.
31 unanswered points.
Exactly. 31. What was it? 31-28, which, by the way, is the most depressing thing ever. But at the same time, and I talked so down on Western against Louisville because we were a 23-point underdog, and then Western comes out and they beat the socks off Louisville, essentially. Minus 3 calls.
Yeah, and a blocked field goal.
And a blocked field goal,
the football gods hate us.
My God, that football gods.
That's the only thing that they need to work on this week, honest to God. What are y'all practicing? Making sure we don't get a blocked field goal. We've had 2 blocked field goals. That never happens.
My thing was, I really wanted to post on Twitter and say, please, for the love of God, sacrifice a virgin to the football gods.
Yeah, seriously.
So that we do not have another field goal. And even when they were like, hey, Western's lining up for a field goal, I'm just sitting at home screaming, no!
Just throw it to the end zone.
Yeah, just forget it. As
Hail
long as
Mary,
it's not
I don't care.
Yeah. Of course, Coach did learn his lesson in punts.
He did punt the ball.
He did punt the ball when he was in his own territory, which is a great thing. Good job,
right.
Coach.
So what do we want to get into now? We're going to do kind of what we did, kind of national, local winners and losers. I've got a basketball take that I'd really like to get out there because I like positivity. And
okay, why don't you do your basketball take real quick?
Well,
we'll go winners losers.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is there's been a lot of talk. Charles Bassey was cleared by the NCAA a while ago. Delano, right? So good to go. Don't have to wait half the season like they screwed us last year. Delano Banton just got cleared, I think, either today or yesterday. So that's 2 of our hotshot freshmen, our 2 highest ranked guys, who are, or as far as freshmen go, who are cleared by the NCAA to play, which is important. It's early on. But kind of what I want to talk about, and this is going to sound real weird, is like kind of the physical stats of the team, because we have a lot of returning guys. You've got Taven Hollingsworth, you got Monte Bearden, you got Rick Nelson. Like, okay, fine, but we also have a huge influx of really talented newcomers. And one of the things that I think is super awesome about this team, besides their talent, and now that we actually have more than 7 scholarship players like we did last year when we beat Purdue, was how just big these dudes are.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the team, so you'll see my notes here. It's pretty funny. I actually did, you guys can't see this, but maybe I'll put it on Twitter. I did the median height, like,
awesome.
Where you wrote it down and, like, X out and then divide by 2. Because, let me tell you something, boys and girls, averages are stupid. They do not accurately represent data, and if you're using averages to represent aggregate data, you're a Nimrod, use the median. I couldn't find it online. Everybody does the average because none of them ever took stats. So take stats, learn the median is more accurate, and get on with your life. But the median height of the WKU football team is 6'6", which is taller than
football or basketball.
Basketball. Sorry,
I was
said
like,
football. No,
wow, man,
sorry.
you went through 90 players to find that.
No, the basketball team is 6'6".
Yeah.
Right. So if you start walking down the roster and you start really looking at our heights of guys, you got 6'10" in Toulouse Smith, Monte Bearden 6'3", Jared Savage, which blast from the past, right? Used to play at Austin Peay. We actually played against him when he played Austin Peay.
Did we?
Yeah, he was their stud player. He sat out last year on transfer rules.
His dad's name's Savage, isn't it? Is this
Randy? They're Randy Savage.
Randy Savage?
Yes, Randy.
Oh yeah.
That would make me so happy. If he wasn't, dead.
That.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the shortest dude on the team is Jake Omer at 6'1".
Okay.
That's our shortest guy. Is a guard at 6'1", which a lot of teams don't have. And you're sitting here talking about our we've got a 6'4" guard in Josh Anderson. We've got Matt Horton, who is 6'11", Charles Bassey, who is 6'11", 6'8", 6'9". I mean, we have height and length. I don't know if you guys remember, maybe you're not all NCAA basketball nerds like me, but Baylor and Oregon over the last decade or so have had these really rangy, long, athletic teams where they didn't have like 5, 7-footers, but everybody was kind of around that 6'6" to 6'10" height. And it was awesome because you were mismatched at the guard most of the time, and you had a lot of depth in height.
Yeah.
So height in basketball is, as far as physicality goes, is like your number one thing that you look for. Is a tall, athletic guy, and we have a bunch of them. And so I just I was sitting in Doctor's office the other day. I was looking through the roster because I was bored, and I was like, man, we have got a long team.
I do know that Talrack did an article the other day on, was it Reach? They did the Reach article?
They did wingspans.
Wingspans, yeah. And that, of course, that was really interesting, too. But, hey, it just makes you look, it's exciting to get ready for basketball season.
49 days out, officially.
Yeah, 49 days out.
I think that was the last one. You know, they're sharing the Countdown the Century team was released for basketball, which go check that out. That was really cool. I voted in that.
Oh, did you? Okay,
I probably voted too many new players. So that's all for us. As far as basketball goes, there's not as many. You know, the football dudes are all mad because all the all-century dudes, like most of our NFL players, were in the last 9 or 10 years.
Yeah.
But as far as basketball goes, most of our longest reigning NBA players have been recently.
Yeah.
But as far as number of talented players, is a lot of old generation. You know, your Clem Haskins, your Big Jims, those kind of fellas.
Yeah. Well, Jim McDaniels. Yeah, exactly.
He's from your neck of the woods.
Yes, he is. He's from
Holds all the records.
Yes, he does. Well, he took them to the Final Four too. So
yes, he did.
There you go. All right, biggest winner-loser for me is winner BYU, loser Wisconsin. Eat it, Wisconsin. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm happy on one hand that Wisconsin loses, but at the same time, when you lose to a team, I kind of, unless it's MTSU, I kind of want them to do better so that our loss looks better, but at the same time, you're like, nah, screw you, I want you to lose.
Yeah, Wisconsin is just not the team.
They're overhyped. I mean, that's one of the things, they came in the season, Jonathan Taylor, he looks good, whatever. I was thinking Jonathan Taylor Thomas from
That's what I was thinking
every
too,
time.
actually.
Every time I say it, I'm like, he's too old. He's almost 40 now.
He's 40, and he looks rough as all get out.
Well, child stars. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, Wisconsin overhyped. I'm sorry. I don't see him as I don't see Taylor as a Heisman, and Wisconsin is not. I mean, after watching OSU play, or the Ohio State. Screw you, the Ohio State. You're Ohio State, by the way. I will never say the Ohio State.
The greatest thing, just so you know, is when there was a meme released during the Ohio State game that said there was an undergraduate coaching assistant named Suburban Mayor or something.
It's like when they had Tom Brady's yes, I'm here when he was suspended. I'm your new starting quarterback, Schlong Frady. He's just got a mustache.
Love that.
And a mullet. Yeah.
Love it. I mean, of course, I agree with you. Jonathan Taylor, to me, has about as much chance of winning the Heisman as Benny Snell.
Yeah, pretty much.
The real truth is Wisconsin's going to have to go crazy, and that dude's not going to have the yards this year. I'm sorry. He's not that good. That conference is way padded. Michigan's sorry this year. They've got Indiana.
State's bad.
Yeah, Michigan State's bad. Indy, you got Illinois. I mean, half a dozen teams in that conference, and they're junk.
Iowa's bad.
Iowa, exactly. Is Iowa State in that conference too?
I think Iowa State's Big 12.
Are they big? See, I don't remember. It gets fuzzy. I know SEC. That's it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, national winners and losers, I got it real broad. I said the winners were the unranked teams and the losers were the ranked teams. Because, I mean, if you guys follow college football, that was one thing over the weekend is all these ranked teams went down. Wisconsin went down. There were others who just got eat by people they ought not to have. And it was like, oh, well, maybe college football is not as deep this year as we thought.
I mean, and that's kind of my thing, too. I always love when the ranked teams lose.
It's fun.
Just for me, you got to have the underdogs come in and do well because it's so much more fun.
Yeah, I really like seeing parity in college football, and that's not something you typically see. You always hear about the parity in college basketball.
Yes.
Because it's easier. Individual players impact teams more. So, for instance, with a team like Western, you get a Charles Bassey, that moves you up a lot more versus Western getting one 5-star defensive end, right? Is that a great talent? Yes. Does he lead the team to a national championship? No. Or even a championship berth? No. But you get one or two guys in basketball can absolutely do that. So you always see that parity. But I like when football has not as many just right now, let's be honest, it's Alabama and everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. What they did to Ole Miss was a crime.
Yeah.
It was just like, what do you... And they did it because Ole Miss always ends up being the one screwing around and beating Alabama and ruin their perfect season, like, every year.
Ole Miss or Auburn will do that.
For some reason, like, the last 2 years, Ole Miss has been like, oh, we're not going to be in the championship. By God, we're going to beat Alabama by 2. And Alabama's like...
No.
To us, like, no, fam.
No, fam, you're going home. No, I mean, I think by the end of that game, the fans were screaming to stop.
Please stop. He's already dead.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like,
all the fans
y'all can just go home because this game is over.
Yeah, it was but yeah, those are my national winners and losers.
And I kind of agree with your sentiment on basketball. My thing is, okay, you got Charles Bassey at Western. You've got some of these other guys at UK. Those 5-star recruits are more well known than, say, a 5-star defensive end that went to Western. That 5-star defensive end can disappear and nobody will know.
Nope, yeah.
But if a 5-star basketball recruit does that, you're all like,
Whatever happened to that guy?
Yeah, what happened to him?
Why isn't he playing in the league?
Oh, he's in Kroger. You're like, what? What happened to him? But I agree. I completely agree. State winners, losers. Obviously, Kentucky beat Murray. Did you see the Murray's mascot during the Kentucky game?
No, but I got another story about that. I heard all the kerfuffle about the $10 mascot and it was looking like a raggedy donkey or something.
And it's literally like the Three Stooges. The guy standing up and the guy standing behind him, bent over, walking through the stadium.
No, for
Murray
me,
denies it, of course.
So for me, the funny story was, and I did not see this, I just heard it on another radio show, but it was that after a particularly large game from Benny Snell, he runs out of bounds towards a Murray State cheerleader and flexes and winks at her, and then like a what's up, and then runs away, and everybody said she turned beet red. And I was like, oh my gosh, what in the world was that? Because Benny Snell,
Yeah, he's a beast.
And he's going to go make some money, so,
Mitch got one thing to mention about that game. The young man, the 4-year-old who was struck by the car and killed.
Was that related to the game? Because I've been seeing it on WKU reporting that a little kid died because there was a UK student ran him over.
Yes.
Ran her over, I don't know.
They were leaving the game, him and his family, and the 18-year-old had been drinking and struck the child. So our prayers go out to the family of that young man, the family of the individual who hit him because he's an 18-year-old freshman.
It still sucks.
It sucks. It sucks all around.
Is he stupid? Is it his fault? Absolutely. But at the same time, that's a life-changing, terrible event.
His life is basically over.
Yeah, he's going to be a convicted felon.
He's going to be convicted, and it was the mistake of getting behind the wheel, and we all should...
don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do it.
Call an Uber. They're cheap. If you're in Bowling Green, the scooter guy still is in effect, by the way. Do you remember Scooter Guy?
No, I don't.
Okay, so there's guys... So besides having a purple line that you can just hop your drunk butt on, there's a guy in Bowling Green, at least he was up until last year, who has a scooter. He's creepy as all get out, but he's very nice, and he will let you, for free, hop on the back of his scooter, hug him like Dumb and Dumber, and he'll drive you home. I've seen this, seriously. He'll just hang out outside of Hilligan's.
That is the greatest.
Now, I have no idea if it's remotely safe, but it'll at least get you home alive. He's never shanked anybody, as far as I know.
Yeah, as far as we've heard, there's never been bodies found.
But yeah, no, that's dude, just pass out in a bathtub somewhere. Don't go home. Let me hate to cut you off. But no, you're
other winners, losers. I'm going Western.
On winner, yeah.
Winner. As far as that goes, Louisville was a 23-point favorite, no matter what people say on social media. I had a dude try and argue with me that Louisville was trying to figure out their offense. I'm sorry, dude. They had Sunday to Friday to figure that out. Okay? There's no excuse. I understand they may have issues with their quarterback. That's fine. But Cunningham, as far as I'm concerned, should be Louisville's dude.
Oh, he is moving forward. So Bobby Petruccio announced this week at the most recent press conference that it's pretty funny too, because he's well, I don't really want to play Malik Cunningham, but it's not really the style of football I want to play, but he's kind of what we got. And then you just got to be sitting there like Malik Cunningham, who just led you to a victory single-handedly, by the way.
Basically,
Because the rest of their players stunk.
Yeah.
And dropping passes, can't rush the football.
Yeah.
And then, but then Malik over is like, Dude, I've won you 2 games, by
Yeah.
the way, because he came in and won the Indiana State game. They were going to lose if Jawan Pass was in. Biggest whiff, Bobby Petrino. Bobby Petrino used to be the quarterback whisperer and offensive genius. Guess what? Everybody caught up to your crap, Bobby.
Yep.
Everybody caught up to what you were doing, and he's whiffed, by the way. If you look at, he had Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson saved his jobs.
Yeah.
As much as we talk about...
Of course, Lamar was not his recruit either.
No, Lamar was his assistant's recruit. It's so funny, because he didn't even want Lamar Jackson, and his assistant was like, nah, bruh, you need this kid.
Come on, fam.
Come on, fam. We need this guy. And Bobby's like, oh, okay. And then you're like, oh, I've got arguably the best college football player in a decade.
A Heisman candidate, well, he won.
Yeah, the Heisman, the only Louisville Heisman winner.
Yeah, I was going to say, unless it was way years back,
Well,
I
Johnny
don't
U
know.
is their other famous guy, but I'm pretty sure that was pre-Heisman.
Yeah. Dude, I can't tell you.
I can't remember when the Heisman started.
But, yeah, I mean, as far as that game goes, kind of like a little recap here, there was 3 plays that I thought that really impacted the game. And I don't know Jake's take on this, but Devin Key's interception was an interception.
Oh, my God, absolutely.
By all accounts. What was funny was, listening to KSR, and their color guy, the guy that does call the comedy, I should say, he went to the game, and he was so frustrated. His friend is Devin Key's dad.
Oh, yeah?
So he goes...
They got a good fan section. They got a whole tent set up, and it's the Key fan club.
Oh my
it's pretty cool.
So Devin Key got the interception. He's so ecstatic about him getting that interception because it would have been on ESPN and everywhere.
Absolutely, because it was a great catch.
And then they go...
Drug the toe. It was great.
Yes. He was in. And then they do the replay, and the referees called it... They reversed it, which, by the way, not enough evidence to do.
You need indisputable evidence. I don't know where you get the
I don't know either.
Evidence. I mean, you just zoom in on his foot, it's replacement ref bad. That's how bad that is.
Oh, it was. That game was like replacement refs from, 3 years ago
it was 2012, man. It's been a minute.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
It's been a minute.
Of course, then another play was the 13 players on the field.
Yeah.
And then they call the play dead, and then they let Louisville get their players off. What the flip? Yeah. ACC? That is a joke. Somebody should report them.
It was a lot of home cooking. I mean, and
Western got some calls. I'll give them that. We got a couple, but it was nowhere near this.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is sometimes the timeliness of a call or the type of call matters more than number or yardage awarded. Yeah. Like the targeting call, which is a travesty.
That's my next point. The targeting call on the defensive end, that is bull because that defensive end and the other player, which I don't even remember their names at this point, they both hit head-to-head, and it was not blindsiding. It wasn't unprotected. Yes. Both of them looked at each other and knew what was about to happen. So come on, guys.
You can see them lower their shoulders into each other. They're trying to hit. You're trying to get a block on one. You're trying to take this guy down the other. Okay, fine. If you're going to call that targeting, which by the rule they were hitting above the shoulder pad, they're on their heads, they're both leading with their helmets. Okay, but they're both doing it.
Yes.
So call it even. If you're going to call it, if you're going to eject people, eject both of them. Don't throw out one player just because he happens not to have on the color of jersey for the home team.
Yep,
now, I don't necessarily think. When I say home cooking, I don't think it's an intentional gig at the Tops. What I think it is you're not keeping your professional decorum. You're being influenced by the fact that you're.
Well, that's the definition of home cooking. Really, you're being influenced by the surrounding fans, and that's basically home cooking. But I think it was bigger than that. I think it was an ACC team facing a Conference USA team, and they're thinking, we can't let this ACC team lose to a Conference USA team, no matter how close it is.
Even if it's subconscious,
Yeah, that's how it is, because the ACC is who pays them.
Yeah.
And not Conference USA, so they're not looking out for them.
At least some Big 12 refs in there or something.
Yes.
Just all offense. Just throw it, I don't care.
Exactly. I honestly think that we should have a nonpartisan referee during non-conference games.
That would make more sense.
Yeah, have a Big Ten ref come in for instance, Western versus UK. Have them from somewhere else so that they can't be influenced by either team. That's my biggest gripe as far as that's concerned. But as far as that game goes, I was extremely excited. I'm frustrated with field goals, but
it's one of those things. I hate moral victories so much as the next guy, but you do have to have a little bit of hope at this point that the effort against Maine was the exception and not the rule.
Yes.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes.
Now, do I know? Again, title of this podcast. I don't know. They could come out flat against Ball State.
Yeah.
They could only win 3 games. But here's another thing. So at the beginning of this, we talked about how good or bad this team could be. And I said the floor could be anywhere as bad as 4 or could be as good as 8 wins, right? And at this point in the season, I had them penciled in at 1 and 2, right?
Well, yeah.
I had a win against Maine and losses against Louisville
Yes.
and Wisconsin. At this point, they're only a win behind.
And that's kind of what I talked about last week. Of course, the next 2 games we're coming up with, we got Ball State and Marshall. So it's like, we got to get one of these.
Yeah, because then you're sitting there, staring down at 0-5.
Yeah.
And winning. You're not going to win 7 straight. So you're talking about you winning 6 out of 7 against. I mean, you got to play FAU.
You got you got FAU. You got La Tech. You've got I'm looking at the schedule.
Yeah, that's part of it.
I mean,
Middle Tennessee is always a tight game. Now, Old Dominion is an absolute train wreck, and who knows if FIU's any count? They're about like us, going up and down. But the conference is definitely down. We can just say that
conference is down
outside of North Texas and the FAU,
which we don't even have North Texas on our schedule.
We don't have them on the schedule this year. Yeah, because you could try. They just went out and beat a Power 5 team, regardless of how crappy Arkansas is. Still better players you're talking about for the most part.
Yes.
But no, for me, the Louisville game, it's one of those things where I'm so sad that we lost because we had the win percentage. Like, God, you read the inside. What is it?
Inside Hilltopper Sports.
The rival site, right? They did a really good statistical breakdown, which we encourage everybody to go look at, that talked about like success rate and the percentages.
If you're a numbers person, go look at it. If you're not, you'll be bored stiff. Sorry.
Okay, well, if you're not, get good, bro.
Yes.
Like, go learn
Come on,
math.
fam. Get it.
Why are you making fun of the way I say fam?
I'm not making fun of the way you say fam. It's just that I'm old, so that's the only word I like to use.
You're 4 years older than me. You're not that much older than me.
I've already hit the 3-0, and I'm already old.
Yeah, dude, when I saw that 31, remember we were moving, I was like, oh, you're 31. God,
I am 31.
I'm almost there, because I'm 27.
Yeah, just everything starts slowing down. That's my advice for you.
That's true.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of cover some of these numbers. I'm going to hit the big numbers. I'm not going to cover everything, okay? It's just so y'all aren't bored stiff. Basically, with this article, the success rate goes... First down, you have to get at least 50% of the yardage.
Yep.
You got to get over 5 yards. Second down, you have to get at least 70%. So if they went, if it was no gain on first down, they'd have to get 7 yards. Third and fourth down, you have to get at least 10 yards by that math, because you have to get 100% of the downs.
Right, you got to get another first down.
Exactly. So wide receivers, the biggest jumps is we have Jernigan, who is 11 of 17, 11 completions, 17 targets. He's rocking 64% as far as that goes. But from the first 2 games to the Louisville game, he went from 71% success to 81% success. Yep. So that's exciting.
It absolutely is. And that's one of the great things is we have got we are now targeting in the playbook, they are targeting, not pun intended, the people that are actually catching the ball.
Yeah.
And that's
it's spread out.
It sounds simple.
Yeah.
But that's part of it. You have to, again, that whole Bible term, feed the studs.
Yeah.
If you've got playmakers, I don't care where they sat on the depth chart coming in. Yep. I don't care what year they are. Feed the guys that are actually making gains.
Yep, like Shanley.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, here's the deal. Eccles is hurt.
Yeah.
No, I honestly think Eccles has lost the job. They're waiting to see what Shanley can do on his own without the cloud of starting. I mean, Duncan came in, was a bust.
Okay, first off, of course, I posted the meme with Eccles being all nervous on the sideline. Yeah. But it's true. He's a redshirt senior. He's been there 5 years now.
And he's being beat out by a redshirt freshman.
Yeah. Redshirt freshman. The dude's been there 2 years. Come on, guys. He's going to be upset about that. There's no way around it. Because he had Dowdy, who had been there for 30 years.
Yes.
You had Mike White, who had it, 1 year, 2 years?
2 years.
He played, basically was starter 2 years. Yep. Now Eccles is thinking, it's my time to shine. And he starts, basically, the first 2 games, and then, nothing's really going right for him.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is, if you look at, we've got the ESPN, box numbers up, and, okay, Eccles is your passing leader. That's fine, but he's played more snaps.
Yes.
If you look at completion percentage, QBR, drop, the dude is not producing like Shanley in his... now, granted, we have a 2-game, or 1.5 game, and about a 1.5 game sample. Okay, that's fine. But when it mattered, Shanley was able to move the ball on a Power 5 team.
Of course, they did a lot of no-huddle, too. That could be a big key, too.
good. Shanley can run it.
I love it.
He's faster than Drew Eccles. He's got a better arm than Drew Eccles. He's more accurate than Drew Eccles.
Yeah.
He takes a hit better than Drew Eccles, obviously, because Eccles has some mysterious upper body injury, and he probably does. He got hit hard in the Wisconsin game, and then got sacked he
got sacked too many times.
He got sacked
Maine.
a bunch of times against Maine. Like, that hurts. I mean, they still had 260-pound guys tackling, and he's 215, 220.
Well, yeah,
they're hurt.
Probably closer to 290. But yeah, you're right. I mean,
they were a
really
little
agree.
smaller, but it hurts. Like he's probably banged up. But do I think it's a non-starting injury? No. I think it's honestly that Sanford has said, okay, look, Shanley, for now, you've earned the job, and until you lose the job, it's yours.
Yeah. Of course, Shanley did awesome. Of course, that helped Ferbs.
Yep.
Furby came out, and old Furby showed up.
Yeah.
Of course, he's not going to show up this week because he had surgery, which I had the scoop on that.
You did. You saw. You're like he's on this just the WKU Facebook group, which is just a bunch of dudes yelling at clowns.
Yep. They're just yelling at people about how awful Western is.
But then there's one guy who's like, "Hey, my brother-in-law is the coach."
No. My brother-in-law is the team doctor for Louisville,
and they
said that Furby had to have X-rays after the game,
and was in a sling.
Yeah. Does anybody know anything about that?
And everybody's like, "No, blah blah blah."
Well, one guy was like, "Yeah." He's been seen with a sling on, and I'm like, well, I can't report that because I don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, and then what happened was Josh Samuels, his teammate, actually was talking to the media,
which
tweeting,
he shouldn't,
and was like, "Oh yeah, Ferb had surgery though after the Louisville game," and I can just be like,
and everybody went,
"Oh snap!" Like making news, Samuel, like.
Well,
I don't like telling players to get rid of all their social media, but sometimes I get Rick Pitino. It was like, don't have Twitter because stuff you can't control the message.
No, and that's the bad thing is he goes out there and tells that, and then Ball State's like, well, that's one we ain't got to worry about.
That's true, because now maybe I'm just misremembering, but I'm pretty sure Ferg was dead last on the he was on the depth chart.
He was on the depth chart.
Like it's or all the way down, and it's just like Now we know you can just cross him off of there because if you just had surgery on Monday, you're not playing.
I don't know if he was necessarily at the bottom, but he wasn't a starter. I think LaFrance was the starter.
Well, technically it says or, so they're not actually a starter, but at the same time you know that LaFrance is your go-to. And that's something that the Louisville game kind of brought up. You have to give the ball to the back that's getting you. We can't keep bringing these guys in and out of games, hot, cold. You can't expect anybody to get a rhythm together if you're pulling these guys out after every other play.
Yeah.
And that was a problem in the Wisconsin game. That was a problem in the Maine game.
Well, with running backs, wide receivers and running backs, I think you have to almost rest them. Like, Lucky takes off for 30 yards. You got to give him a break for a second. You know?
You can give him a breather.
Be like, hey, just get off the field. We'll send somebody else in real quick.
Right, you can, but when you get 5 dudes doing this, and you get a touch on a first down at the start, and then your next touch is a first down in the second quarter.
Of course, that's different, too, depending on your strategy. If you're doing no huddle, then you can't pull those dudes.
There's no breathers.
There's no breathers. You got to keep going, and then you huddle, and then they pull the guys. But, I completely agree.
Just for me, and that's kind of what I had written down here, was you now know some stuff. You know that Shanley's your starting QB.
Yeah.
You know your running back 1 is LaFrance. You know your running back 2 is Samuels. You know your wide receiver 1s are Lucky and Jernigan, with Sloan coming in there and taking some reps. And you know your tight end 1 is Fortenberry. I know we all wanted Mike Dean to be better, but he's not. And Fortenberry was 2 touchdowns against Louisville, and he was the most productive scorer on our offense currently. Okay, well then he's your pass catcher.
Well, see, Fortenberry, the deceptive thing with him is, of course, Fortenberry and Dean both dropped in the success rates. Fortenberry's 8 of 9, Dean is 8 of 15. Fortenberry went from 100% in the first 2 games to 75%.
Well,
so he missed a ball.
Yeah.
And of course, Dean went from 83 to 75. But of course, Garland LaFrance, sorry.
LaFrance.
Garland, I just tried to say Garland LaLand. He's 12 of 12. He hasn't dropped one yet. I jinxed you. I'm so sorry. I completely jinxed you.
Just get it out of the way, the very first,
Like
2
when you walk on the field
pass.
and you're warming up, just have the quarterback just throw it, hit you right in the chest,
and just drop it,
and that's it.
Yeah,
just
and
let
then
it
you're
go.
done. You gotta go.
Of course. Okay. Now, big numbers. The big thing to look for. Of course, Furby's out, but he had 4.6 yards per carry. That's his average.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
You always want a good back versus regular back. Above 4.
And then you got LaFrance and Samuel both around 5, which is awesome. And, of course, they both jumped in their success rate. And Ferb did, too. Another running back to talk about, Trigg. Bye-bye, buddy.
Bye, Felicia.
I'm sorry.
Like my tweet.
He's
oh, man,
a home two.
I'm going to miss those 2 yards so much.
Yeah, he's averaging 0.8 yards a carry. I'm sorry, dude. You know, as a person, you're a great person, okay? I'm sure you are, and I wish you all the success in life.
And he's a Glasgow boy. We like
he's a homegrown boy, basically. But at the same time, it's like, I'm sorry, you're just not doing anything here.
You got to produce, and he hasn't produced in 3 years.
He's scholarship. We free up a scholarship now.
Yep.
So he just hadn't produced, and I'm sorry. He was one of my most frustrations watching games.
Because he has so much talent. He's such a big, strong guy. He could be that barrel back. But we know, I mean, you know from actually like playing on the line, you understand the blocking schemes. He didn't.
No.
You would see him, he'd get a good block and like stumble into an offensive lineman or just trip and fall down.
And and it was so frustrating because you're just like, well, the hole's there. What's going on?
Yeah, and he's got the talent. He's got
the offensive line in front of him.
It just did not ever mesh up, and it kind of sucks. Maybe he can go play, for like a Murray or something and get a master's degree. That's what he's going to go do. Go get a grad degree. That'll be good.
Well, and that's the greatest thing with that grad transfer thing.
I do like the grad transfer thing.
The grad transfer thing is good, and I think they should do it for any team.
Yeah.
I think the players should be able to transfer. No redshirt year required. Just let them go. You don't do it with coaches.
Exactly.
I mean, Urban Meyer didn't sit a year.
Yeah, when he went to Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, come on, let them do it. Why not? You have to. These kids need to have their education.
If that's going to be
what they're doing.
If you're going to call these people student athletes first, which for most of them is true, but for a lot of them it's not. Then you at least need to put that student thing first and not be hypocritical. I mean, we know the NCAA is full of hypocritical stuff. So.
It is. I mean, but that's kind of any governing body.
Yeah, the transfer thing, I'm all about. I won't get into it today, but I'm all about free agency transfers. Like just.
Well, see, of course, I'm like not anti-government as far as things go, but I'm small government. I'm not anti-government. I'm smaller government.
I'm not an anarchist, but a libertarian I am. I don't want to burn it all down, just most of it.
Well, I don't want them coming to my house and saying you can't do that.
Yeah.
Of course, we're talking government now, so let's change topics here.
But yeah, absolutely. That was the thing I learned from the Louisville game, or at least that I think we have learned from the Louisville game, is 3 games in, that's when statistically speaking, and to get back to nerd talk, that's when you kind of know your team. After 3 games, the Sagrins get more accurate.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in a minute because I want to talk about that with the Ball State game. But they get more accurate. You have a bigger a bigger body of data to work with, and now you know who you need to throw the ball to, who you need to hand the ball to.
And of course, the big thing is, another thing when they were talking on the article, Western in their first 2 games was 8 of 32 in third downs.
Yeah,
that's 25%. Yeah. You're only getting 1 of 4. That is awful.
That's so bad.
Of course, then that was 120 nationally.
Yeah,
we were ranked 120th. Then we jumped to 99th and nationally, and we were 17 of 49 on third downs.
Yeah, so
that's better.
We're not great, but we're getting better.
Yeah.
We're getting more consistency in the offense, which is what we're looking at.
It's a 9% jump.
Well, and I mean, there's only 130 teams in Division I football, so
I mean,
when you're at the bottom, there's nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, and of course, when we're doing the up-tempo offense, apparently we're more running-oriented than passing.
We were, which is interesting, with the lack of run game that we've been able to establish so far. But that came back against Louisville. Which, by the way, doesn't have a trash defense. I know everybody's talking about the national story, or at least like the story regionally is, Louisville just tanked, and Western's still a bad team. It's like, okay, you might be a bad team, but Western came to play too.
Yes.
Like, there are 2 teams on the field. Louisville's not losing to themselves, right?
No.
And I always get mad when like Kentucky basketball says, the only one that can beat Kentucky basketball is themselves. No, other teams are going to beat you. If you play like butt, you get beat. That's how it works. The other team plays too.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of how the March Madness works. I mean, it's essentially...
Right, exactly. Oh, the only team that can beat you is like this one, like the top seed, the number 1 overall seed.
No.
Yeah. No, you didn't show up, and they did, and now you're going home on the bus.
Who was that anyway?
UMBC.
There you go.
Never forget the Retrievers and the best sports Twitter on the internet.
Oh, I'm sitting here, and I was thinking of Chicago Loyola.
Well, yep, they did.
That was another good one.
Dude, the Nun was great.
The Nun was
Sister
great.
Jean.
Yes.
A lot of people hated Sister Jean. I don't even care. I love Sister Jean.
Well, yeah, she's a nun. How can you hate her?
How do you hate a nun?
But, I mean, Western, of course, field goals are awful, but we had, of course, we're more explosive in passing yards.
Yeah.
We've got 3 TD passes that were over 20 yards. Out of 8 plays, we had 3 TD passes, 1 touchdown, one pass that led to a touchdown, and then 3 led to field goals, which were blocked. Which, by the way, is the most depressing stat I've just had to read.
So, like, seriously, how many field goals have we had blocked like the last 5 years? I can't even...
I have no
I bet
idea.
if you looked back 10 years, it might equal what we blocked this season.
It feels like it. And I mean, the worst part is that field goal...
That bounce was it. That was
the bounce. That was the worst thing. course, I didn't have the channel because who in the world has Fox South?
Seriously, almost nobody.
I had Fox East, West, and North, but I didn't have South. But anyway,
Makes no sense for where we are.
Yeah,
we're in the South.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm just listening to the IMG Sports Network. Shout out, and they're like, and it's bouncing to the 50, the 40, the 35, and I'm like, is the ball running to the end zone or what's going on here, guys? You know, it's just like
right. No, it's absolutely just.
Oh, it was trash.
Yeah. But so you start talking about, okay, so we've learned these things. What can we expect at Ball State? So just going into it, we looked at the, if you want to talk betting, if you want to talk favorites, if you want to talk that sort of thing. I like to look at the Sagarin data. Jeff Sagarin does all that stuff. You add 3 for home field advantage typically. Yeah. Western coming into this game is a 57.87 Sagarin rating.
Okay.
Ball State's 56.98. If you add that, it puts them if you add the home field advantage for 3 points, right? You get to almost 60. So you're talking about a 2.5 to 3 point favorite is what Ball State should be, which if you look at ESPN spread, that like their Bovada stuff that they do, it's 2.5 favorite.
Yeah.
So that's what you're looking at. So it's essentially a pick 'em.
Yeah,
you don't know.
Yeah.
Which, watching both teams play this season, probably about right.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, as far as Ball State goes, they won against a no-name school, which is basically what we did.
What we should have done.
And then we had Wisconsin. They had Notre Dame.
Yep.
We had Louisville. They had Indiana. So, I mean, of course, they blew out CCSU, which I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, who knows?
But they played Notre Dame. I'm sorry, to an 8-point game, which is awesome.
When I was texting you that, I was like, oh God, we got to go play Ball State, and they're hanging with Notre Dame, who's a great team.
Yeah, and that was scary. Even before last week, I'm thinking, man, we got Ball State after this, and they're bowling out. I'm like, this is going to be a long week, but actually, this could be, depending on who shows up. If we have the team from Maine show up, it's going to be a long night. If we have the team that showed up to Louisville, we can win this. We can easily win this game.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm looking at. So I just pulling quick again numbers on this. So in the Indiana game, their quarterback threw for 115 yards. Okay, so nothing fancy. They essentially don't have a passing game.
Yeah,
which kind of stinks because we have. If I had to choose, I kind of would choose them having the passing game simply because our secondary is excellent.
Yeah,
we have not allowed a lot of passing yards. We have allowed, albeit skewed, a lot of rushing yards, despite the fact that our linebackers are really good and our defensive line is not slouchy by any means.
Yeah.
But their leading running back only rushed for about 80 yards against Indiana, who's not a great. They're kind of like Louisville, not a great team, but still Power 5. So I mean, honestly, I do think Western has a slight edge. I've got a score prediction in here later that's probably too optimistic, but whatever. I can't give up completely yet, but I think you're right. It's a toss-up. Look, if Western shows up to play like they did against Louisville, then I think this is a 10 or 17 point victory. If it's Maine, you're talking losing by 20. If it's somewhere in between, God knows. Because that's, like I said, the name is, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking at right here is the stats for Western versus Ball State. And, of course, the numbers are skewed because they went crazy on this CCSU, which I don't know who that is. Is that Coastal Carolina?
They might be. Let me see
Southern.
The thing. They might. It might be Coastal
Devil.
Carolina. I don't think Coastal Carolina's a devil.
No, I don't think it's a devil.
No, that's not Coastal Carolina. But whatever.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the numbers are skewed is what I'm trying to get at. Because Western... Hey, hello,
growling.
Sammy. Yeah, she's growling. She's grumbling, I should say.
Yeah.
Western has 16 points per game, average. Which is...
But again, is a little skewed because of the Wisconsin game.
Exactly. And then the Ball State is 22.7.
Not that much of a difference.
No, it's not a big difference.
Especially considering they went ham on a terrible team, and we went ham on by a good team.
Yeah, we've had 2 good teams, really. Wisconsin, no matter how much I loathe them, they're a good team. Of course, Western's total yards, 374. Ball State's 449, and that's averaging. Of course, yards allowed, 369 to 387. Of course, Ball State looks about 50-50 as far as pass to run. According to these numbers, it's 219 and 229. So to me, that's about 50. It's about 51.
We're just looking at the statistical breakdown on ESPN. Does it have a completion percentage on there?
No, I don't have it specifically.
That's the only reason I would ask is because if their yardage gained is about even, but their attempts might be a lot heavier on the run game.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if that's the case, it'll be a quick game at least.
Yeah.
So it won't last 5 hours. Hopefully.
No, it'll be a quick game. Of course, it's in Muncie, which there's
Muncie,
nothing in Muncie.
I've never been to Muncie.
There's nothing there. That's why you don't go to Muncie because there's nothing there. Let's see. I'm trying to pick out some quick little stats here that might be positive for us. Passing yards allowed. Western's allowed 175. Ball State 205. So that's positive.
And that leads back to what I was saying about our secondary being one of the strongest. Yeah. Is our strongest unit overall.
Which, and I've been thinking about this. Playing a DB is probably one of the hardest spots to play football.
It's gotta be
because
bad.
You are guessing what somebody's running. But
yeah,
essentially,
all the time. Yeah, and you have to watch the quarterback. You have to watch your assignment. You have to, if you're playing zone, you got to watch where you're supposed to be.
And if you're playing man, you're on that wide receiver
the whole time and trying to look where he's looking, where he's going to run.
Yeah, and it's yeah. I mean, basically, there's a lot of stuff to it, and of course, I kind of picked that up on Hard Knocks, and from playing football for years, I never really thought about the DB position.
Well, if you don't play it, you know.
No, you don't really. You don't think about it at all. Excuse me.
Yeah, we don't have a cough button. We're not fancy, so you're just going to hear the phlegm deep down in his lungs.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
Great.
Yes.
But yeah, no. So predictions for what I thought was Western 24, Ball State 17. Because we're still not scoring a lot of points. Let's be real here. We're not scoring a lot of points. The defense is allowing some points. 6-point swing. I think the two field goals difference is about right. To be honest,
I'll go. Excuse me. I'll go 24-21 Western.
Yep.
I'm going to go positive too, like you are.
And maybe I'm just drinking the Kool-Aid of like the moral victory. Maybe I am. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to stay hopeful until basketball season starts.
You have to be hopeful. I mean, because the bad thing is, the less hope you have for football, the more we're going to be talking basketball.
Well, and not only that, but the worse it's going to impact. We're not the only fans, right?
Oh, exactly.
But if you have this cloud hang over the fan base, talking smack on Twitter, being upset, they're checking Twitter, they're getting in a negative mindset. The players, Coach Sanford's worried about his job. And here's the deal: I'm not saying fire Sanford today. I'm saying work the Rolodex.
Yeah.
But I don't. Again, I don't know.
Yeah.
After Maine, he looked like a nightmare. He had terrible decision making. The players didn't show up for half the game. It was just a cluster. And then against Louisville, he actually makes fairly decent decisions.
Yeah.
He plays conservative when he ought to be conservative. He plays aggressive when he ought to be aggressive. You're like, okay, well, maybe he knows what's going on.
Okay, one thing that completely just kind of turned my head for Sanford was in the Louisville game. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong. When the field goal kicker missed it, which, by the way, I think everybody and his brother thought he was going to miss it. But
I love that timeout because it gave him a second to size it up.
Yeah.
Because if you guys were watching, when he kicked it right as that timeout was called, when I tried to ice him, and it was short by about 10 yards, and then he was like, "Oh, okay." And then the next one, it just goes. It had the distance, but it was a little right, and that's what they asked him. They were like, "Did you have a chance? Did that help you size it up?" He was like, "Yeah, a little bit."
Yeah, because that was a 51-yarder.
And what
the announcer said his longest was 44.
Yeah.
And I'm a numbers person like me. I'm thinking he ain't got a chance. I'm sorry.
Nope, not a chance.
Of course, I'm hoping. Everybody's hoping in the back of their mind. Yeah, he can do it.
At least getting tied up.
He misses that field goal and just drops to his knees.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, Sanford ran straight out there to him, picked him up, said something to him, and walked off.
Okay. Yeah. So. This is going to be a name thing. I'm sorry, because there's so much crap made about this. So if you watch, Barstool Western, everybody shared it.
Yeah.
So Nuss misses it. It is sad. He kind of hangs his head and begins to jog off. Crap, we lost. Sanford runs out to him, gives him, says something, pat on the head, and then keeps running to go do whatever it is. It's, whoa, the good coach Sanford is doing that. No, anybody who's not a DB would do that. That's not extra. He didn't hug him and carry him off the field lovingly. He just did what, I would have done if, man, come here, look, that sucks, bro. And then just, it's going to be okay, keep your head up. I'm sorry, there was way too much, in my opinion, made of that. I'm glad he's my coach.
Now, you say that was negative. My wife's blood type is negative, and she said that Sanford probably said, "Hey, thanks, you just cost me my job," and walked off. And I was like, "Oh my god, that is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life."
Just got me fired.
You just cost me my job and my
just
kid's life.
Whoever that kicker was that saved Stoops' job against Mississippi State 2 years ago.
Yeah,
that 56-yarder that he wasn't going to win, just sweating buttermilk.
Well, of course,
he ought to bought that kid a car.
Yeah, he should have. That kid, Nuss, there's no way that kid was going to make that field goal. It's bad to even put him in that position to make that field goal.
You got to give it a shot, though. I mean,
you've got to give it a shot because you've got donors.
Well, and that's the thing too is like as a kicker, you don't get hit an awful lot. You get emotionally sad because there are often times where you're the last saving grace. We haven't been able to do anything. Yeah. You have this one uninhibited chance to do it. Please, God, save us.
Yes, they had a nice long 10-minute talk on KSR one day about how kickers are the lone wolves, so to speak.
Well, they are.
All the kickers, and at a college practice, all the kickers hang out together. They practice kicking, they do their thing, they get called in on a handful of drills, they do a special teams drill, but that's it. They do conditioning, but they don't do anything else. They're good guys, but they're out there.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of it, right? Like you always hear about, like, oh, we'll bring a soccer player in, or like they are
Australian punters. Apparently, are the best.
Australian punters. Well, rugby players. That makes sense. That's all rugby is punting.
Yeah, he kicks it and he goes crikey. But
dude, I wish so much. Look, if you're out there, which by the way, we apparently have a 5-star punter.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. So there's like this year, or he's coming in this recruiting class. I can't remember. The recruiting services obviously don't rate punters because how do you rate it? I guess you could, whatever. But when we signed this kid, he was like a 5-star, heavy air quotes, punter. Now, obviously, he's not. If he is the one, I couldn't tell you the name of the punter, to be honest with you. He's not very good. I know that. So he's probably not this true freshman kid that's come in. But it's just funny because, like, we have a. In fact, I think they talked about how our punter is a modified kicker. Like, he's a place kicker who we just asked to punt because we don't have a true punter.
Let's see. In my tenure, we had. Well, our punter and place kicker were two different people.
Which is it's supposed to be that way.
But the punter was the placeholder on some of those. And, of course, wide receivers are sometimes thrown in there to be placeholders as well. But, it's just kind of who's who or whatever.
Well, and kicking and punting, that whole side of special teams, like you said, it's weird, it's singular.
Yeah. And
it's stressful. I mean, but that's what you sign up for.
That's the job as a kicker. You just you're called on to do the extremely hard thing.
Yeah, you have the cojones of steel and just go out there and don't worry about it. And
you have to have the nerves.
You do the windmill thing and it's great.
Yeah.
God, I miss Schweppe. Boy, I miss Garrett Schweppman. He's the kicking coach now, you know that?
No kidding.
Yeah, Schweppe, which, by the way, if you guys don't know, he's the leading scorer in WKU history.
No kidding.
Yeah, more than Willie. He surpassed Willie Taggart because of all the field goals he made. Because he was out, within, 40 yards, he was almost automatic.
Oh my
gosh. He had no length.
Yeah.
But in, 38 to, 40 yards, dude nailed it. And he's one of the most consistent extra point kickers in the history of college football.
That's awesome.
He's an excellent kicker, and now is on this coaching staff working with special teams.
But you realize that the kicking coach is the most BS job ever.
I'm sure it is. But I'm glad
Coach Gilbert, who was 80 years old, was the coach for kickers when I was there. I love Coach G, God rest his soul, but at the same time, his job was handing out butterscotch, man. That's what his job was. I don't know if he got paid enough to hand out butterscotch, but he handed out butterscotch. That was his nerve pill. That's what he'd always do. You can't can't take my Buckeye, but you can have a nerve pill.
He had a Buckeye.
He did. He had a legitimate Buckeye in his pocket.
Nice.
I've got a couple around here somewhere.
We have Buckeyes. Okay, well, we had kind of thought about talking about ranked. We don't really have a good ranked this week because I didn't prepare ranked. So how about doing our favorite places to eat on campus during our tenure because it's changed so much?
Yeah.
So
okay, you go first.
Well, I was gonna say my favorite. I'm gonna try to stick with non-chains at the top because I can get Chick-fil-A anywhere. I like Chick-fil-A, but was Red Zone, and it's still there. Last time I was in Duck, it's still there. It's the little. If you guys have never been, or if you're alumni who have been gone for a while, go back. I will say that the best thing I used to eat there was, and I was telling Devin about this off mic, was a buffalo chicken Philly cheesesteak. So it's a Philly cheesesteak. Which is the
most ironic thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's so good. They take buffalo chicken and the provolone cheese and melt it with onions and peppers on a hoagie, and it is excellent.
See, when I think Philly cheesesteak, it's got to be beef or whatever.
It's steak. It's steak. It's chopped steak. I know, but buffalo chicken, Philly cheese chicken.
Sounds amazing.
It's
really
good.
Does.
I don't know if they still have it, because I haven't eaten there in a minute. But that was always my favorite. Even though I didn't eat a lot, because it was $7 for a sandwich. I want to try and do that.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, of course, we were poor college kids, so we couldn't really do that.
Right. And we didn't do. Did you do meal plan?
I did not have meal plan, but I had Big Red Dollars.
Okay, I don't remember the Big Red Dollars.
See, with my scholarship, I got so much Big Red Dollars.
Yeah.
So that's what I would eat off of. I'd go get a Subway sandwich, which, by the way, Of course, I lost a ton of weight, and I didn't molest any kids, but I would eat Subway like no other. I would have a 6-inch sub every day.
Somebody isolate that and send it to us. I didn't molest any kids or anything, but...
Just saying, Subway, if you're looking for sponsors, right here.
Yeah, right. He's clean.
Yeah, I haven't molested any kids. But I lost, of course, I need to lose weight again. But anyway, I had a turkey sandwich every day, 6-inch turkey sandwich every day for 2 years, and I lost weight.
Oh, yeah, that's part of it.
That's
and
the
also,
only thing I ate, though. Was
walking up and down the hill,
Yes.
and also running around with the football team.
Yes. And of course, with the schedule, the way things were, I would basically noon to 8 o'clock I worked football, and then 8 o'clock I'd get home. So that's 8 hours right there. And a lot of nights I was just exhausted, so I'd go to bed.
And also getting up in the early in the morning to go do crap every once in a while, driving players around to doctor's appointments and all that.
Yeah, of course. Funny story, since I'm not really technically doing my ring. I had a football player, of course. He got hit by a FedEx thing. It was really weird.
What?
His name.
He got hit by a FedEx truck?
I'll leave his name out because I don't know if that's true or not. But this dude.
I hope not.
He was really stout. He was a really strong defensive lineman. And he ended up breaking his ankle, I think, or he really had a really bad sprain or whatever. And he's like, "What time do you come to campus?" And I was thinking, "Oh, crap. I don't want to give him a ride." And I was like, "I come through real early." And he's like, "Well, I'll be ready. You just call me." And I was like, "Oh,
crap."
Well,
now I've got to be early, too.
Well, yeah. Of course, when I'd get close to campus, I'd give him a call, and he'd be waiting. So I couldn't knock him. And I actually did learn a lot about this person, because when you don't talk to somebody a lot, you don't really know who they are.
Yeah, he's just a defensive end. Yeah.
And he was a tackle, I think, technically, but it's not a big deal. But he was one of those guys that he talked slower. He was from the South, not saying that I'm a Yankee or anything, because I don't consider myself that.
There's a difference between, Kentucky South and Deep South.
Yes, and he talked slower, and I thought he was a little slower, sometimes on the uptake of things, but he was really business-minded. He would set up elaborate parties and have limos and porta potties, and I'm like, dude, you live at the registry. How do you do this? Of course, that's not necessarily a good thing now, but whatever.
Has the registry ever been a good thing? I don't think the registry's ever been good. It's like living at the Gables. It's like...
Yeah, we had a football player almost get shot living at the registry.
That does not surprise me. I have been accosted every time I've ever been to a party. It's the most sketch.
Well,
it's super duper sketch.
Of course, my wife lived there when we first started dating.
Did she? I didn't know.
Yes,
I didn't know
she
that.
lived at the registry, and it wasn't that bad.
Back in the day, bad.
Yeah, it got bad. But at the same point, what's funny is another story, real quick.
I was going to say, because you reminded me of a story, so I'm giving up on the ranks. I'm going to tell you a hilarious football player story from 2015.
We had a player that had a drive-by at the registry.
Oh, God.
He, his shirt gets hit with a bullet. It was that close, supposedly. So the next practice, they thought that this guy was targeting players. So they had, snipers and all this crap. Of course, as support staff, we know, you know people that don't belong.
Right.
And there's this one reporter walking around making pictures, and he looks like Bill Goldberg. And you're like, one of these things isn't like the other, so...
What's that bulge in your coat pocket there? Is that an extra camera lens?
I think he was bodyguarding that crap, and he had a gun in the camera.
Yes.
But of course we
flip it out.
we had a straight coach that was like the Terminator, and the big joke was that he was going to jump off the big red water tower onto the guy that was trying to shoot at the players.
Very important.
And rip their heart out and just scream and we're like, that's what's going to happen.
That would be amazing.
Yes, that would have been
terrifying, but an awesome story.
Oh my God, that would be the greatest story.
Speaking of a violent story and sketchy apartments, so it wasn't 2015. It was probably, I don't know, when I was an undergrad. We'll just say there. I was an undergrad, so it wasn't 15, but I was an undergrad. We were at this party at College Suites, right? Okay. College Suites like the other sketch one, if you guys don't know.
Is there a straight one? They're all pretty sketch, apparently.
That's true. They're pretty... I mean, a lot of these are. Around campus is not the nicest neighborhood.
No.
So we're at this party, whatever. We're hanging out with these girls. One of my friends had driven, and we get to... The party kind of sucks. I'm hanging out on the balcony with a couple of these girls, and there's this WKU football player. Yeah. I didn't know he was, but he was this 6'6" black dude in a room full of tiny white people. So I gotta ask, I'm like, man...
He was hanging out with snow bunnies, but go ahead.
Pretty much, yeah. Nicest dude. He's from Alabama. He was talking about, again, kind of a slower talking dude.
Yeah.
real chill, just sipping. One getting drunk, one getting wild, sitting in a chair, just sipping on a Bud Light.
Yeah.
But there was this guy we called Asian Persuasion. Because he was like hitting on all the girls. He was like the stereotypical like cool guy Asian dude, like Tokyo Drift, and it was just so funny. All the racist stuff I can say, and it was.
Drift.
I mean, that's what he looked like. Like he just stepped off of the movie. You know Han?
Yes.
He looked like Han.
He looked like Han.
He looked like Han. Okay, except with a buzz cut. So.
Okay, I'm trying to picture that, but go ahead.
Yeah. So we're on the balcony, and then one of the girls I'm with, she's a little intoxicated, and she's throwing cheese puffs. Okay, we've got a big thing of cheese puffs. We're on the second floor. She's tossing cheese puffs into the grass. Well, then she starts trying to get them on people's windshields, which, again, they're cheese puffs, whatever. Everybody's having a good time. People are laughing at her, you know. Again, nothing illicit going on at the party or anything. Yeah. All on above board. Just cheese puffs. Well, these dudes come through, and one of them looks like the kind of trailer trash boys. You know, walking through, hat backwards, like pants kind of sagging.
Eminem, MGK style.
Right, yeah. Gotcha. Wigger to the max. And so she throws one, and it gets near him. And he's like, starts cussing her and like saying all this stuff. Like, what are you trying to do? And I was like, look, everybody just calm down. Yeah. You guys go along. We'll get her inside. No big deal.
Oh, so they're Marshall fans. Gotcha.
Right? They're Marshall fans. So, we'll tell that story one day. If we haven't already on the last podcast, we probably did.
I think we did last year.
Probably did. But anyway, so Asian Persuasion is also drunk and decides he's going to impress the girls and go down there and fight them. Okay, so me and 6'6" Alabama defensive, linebacker, whatever he was, are kind of watching this thing, and the Asian guy goes down there and like takes his shirt off and starts fighting. Well, there's 3 of them.
Okay.
And the dude looks like he can fight, like he's ready.
Yeah.
But there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
So the football player goes, I guess I better go help him, and stands up and just takes off, and I'm like, oh no. And his friend, who was also a football player, comes out and is like, oh god. This dude runs, takes off his shirt, walks up to one of the guys. So the Asian guy's got some dude down. They're like MMAing on the ground, right? There's one guy who's just standing there like, looks like DJ Qualls from The New Guy, just like McLovin, just standing watching. And this other guy's talking smack, and like, for a second, he thinks about squaring up with this guy. This dude the defensive end from Western, like, he could absolutely fight. Because when he took his shirt off, he put in a stance, looked like an MMA fighter. He took 2 steps towards this guy, popped him twice in the jaw with his left hand, and right crossed him. And the dude went out, snoring. Falls back, and the size difference, the dude was like my size.
Oh, yeah.
And thinner. Goes back, head bounces off the concrete. The other dude's like, oh, no. And he breaks up Asian Persuasion. Looks like he's picking up children. Yeah. Separates them. It's like, y'all get out of here. You go back upstairs, stupid. Well, then we hear the siren. Somebody has to call the cops. So I tell his friend, I'm like, dude, let me explain something to you. Look at y'all. Look at who's here. And Bowling Green police officers. Do you know what's about to happen? Yeah. And he goes, oh, good call. Yeah. And we all scurry like roaches.
Yeah. Well, okay. Fun fact for you on that story.
But nobody got arrested, so it was nice.
Yeah, well, that's always a plus when people don't get arrested. The only thing I can picture is myself in the place of MGK and Eminem. I think I would just punch my friend.
Yeah, right.
And just be like, bow! I am so sorry about that. I don't know what he was thinking. And then drag him back to the car. And then he goes, what happened? And you go, I don't know, man.
Somebody hit you.
I don't know what happened. You're just on your own.
I mean, could you just imagine the size of that human coming at you with, like, professional bop-bop? And he didn't even hit him that hard.
The guy, the story I was telling you about with the guy, we were at Ball State. He comes off the field mad. Some dude was holding him on offensive line or whatever, and he is mad, and he is mouthing, and of course he's in the coach's box, and the coaches are like, get him back. Of course, I'm a trainer, so I've got my water bottles, and I'm standing with the coaches, so I'm like, hey, come on, dude, let's go, back up. And I put my hand on his chest, and normally, you just kind of give him a little push, and they call him back. I go to push, and it's like I was pushing my house.
He's not moving.
And he's not moving, and I'm like, what the hell? What am I supposed to do? Luckily, one of the offensive linemen came over, and he's like, dude, get back. And he kind of gave him a shove, and he went on. But I was like...
Yeah, when you need a 300-pounder to come help.
Of course, the dude helped me name was Greg Ryan. He went to play for the Ravens, I think.
Cool.
But, yeah, I was just like...
We always say, the size of these humans is just...
It's unimaginable.
Yeah, until you're standing next to them.
Yeah, when you're standing next to the guy, you're just like, good God, you're a man.
And, like, you aren't a small dude. But then, you see you on camera, and it's like shoulder height, and you're like, oh!
Yeah, it's a big awakening, because I always wanted to go play, collegiate football, and then you go see those guys, and you're just like, I am not built to be
here,
a D1 athlete. I mean, it's it's one of those things. It's like Jeff Foxworthy says. You mix creek water and raw sewage, you don't get Evian.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
that's just part of it.
It's just part of it. You're just not genetically built for it. I was built for other things like eating and talking. So
yeah,
we're good.
Right. We got faces for radio.
Exactly.
Right?
That's right.
Or podcast, maybe radio.
We're podcasters, by golly.
Yeah, I told my CFO that I ran a little podcast, and he was like, I don't know whether to be happy for you or just really sad. I was like, you should be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You should be embarrassed for me and also happy that I do something I love. He's like, okay, that's fair.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, you got anything else, man?
I'm good. I'm good, bro.
No more drunk stories for this evening. Hopefully, like we said, we get a Ball State win, turn this train around, and finish with a winning season.
That's right.
All right, go Tops.
Go Tops.